checking if it's going live. Okay, looks like it's live there. And I see myself right there. So I think it's, let me go look.
See if we're live. Right. We are here. We are back. We'll wait a few minutes to see if folks rejoin the Beck Life. How is the audio? Do we have a delay? Daylight savings is really throwing me off. Cool. I mean, it definitely feels like it's 7:30 at night, but it's crazy how dark it is out. What's up, Shay? Thanks for joining on this Sunday evening. I know this was planned a little bit last minute in terms of like announcing it, so some of you maybe caught it if you follow me on my Instagram, because I mentioned it just a couple hours ago. I just didn't know what time we were going to be doing it, and then I wasn't sure if Sunday nights were good for people to do a live or if you prefer like weeknights. But Jason brought up a good point that my energy would probably be better on a Sunday night versus after a work night. So anyways, I'm listening to my voice in the other room, so I need to not do that. I wanted to kind of catch you guys up. We can do some Q&A as well, as the title of this YouTube live suggests, answering all your burning questions. So if you have any burning questions, hang on to those and we will get to those as well. Jason and I went on vacation. As some of you may know, I was doing my Vlogoween series and went on vacation, and prior to like actually leaving and going on vacation, I had a long weekend because I did my 10-mile race that I was kind of working towards. That went really well. Actually, it was really hard, but it was a lot of fun. It really made me feel accomplished. I was very proud of myself because honestly, like leading up to the race that weekend, I was kind of not in the best headspace about it. I was just like, you know what? If the weather is not just perfect how I want it to be, I'm just not going to do the race. I was kind of just like coming up with excuses for why I may not do the race, and almost like self-sabotage techniques that I like to do sometimes. It's like a defense mechanism. If I don't put myself out there, then I can never get let down. That type of feeling, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you guys struggle with that in any aspect of your goals, but I could feel myself kind of doing that. And that's why I was like, you know what? No excuses. I don't care if you're going on vacation, if you're busy, if you have this, that, and the other thing going on. You're committing to this race unless it's an actual hurricane or something crazy. But anyways, the race, it was hard. It checked my ego. It reignited my fire with my performance and just training in general. You know, we always have ups and downs with anything, of course. And I've been doing fitness and setting like higher goals, I would say, than the average person for such a long time that I'm at this place where it kind of feels like, you know, it goes up and down, and I'm always more driven with having set goals. So it felt really good to achieve that goal, and it made me want to sign up for some additional races. But with that, Jason's parents came over. They actually watched Bruce, this little muffin. He's not really little, but he's sleeping next to me down here. He was watched by Jason's parents the week we were gone on vacation. And there was so much going on the weekend before we left for vacation that it was just like, I don't think I would have been able to film anything great for you guys other than like talking about packing and going on vacation. So that wouldn't have really been an interesting video for you all. But as you know, we normally do like to film a little bit on our vacation and had full intentions of doing so. We were there a full week. We went from Tuesday the 26th and we came back Tuesday, November 3rd. I believe it was November 3rd. It was a Tuesday to a Tuesday. The longest we've ever been away from Bruce Wayne. It was also just the longest vacation we've had together, Jason and I, in a long time. Like, we had done some trips prior to 2020, but those were mostly like expos and stuff. Like, those weren't vacations. That was like legit work, you know? Blessed nonetheless, but it wasn't like actual vacations. So it felt really, really good. And Jason and I both had literally an amazing time. And I knew the first couple days, like, I just wanted to be in the moment and not pick up the camera. And then both Jason and I just kind of felt like we just deserve to not film, because honestly, when you film sometimes, we're always real. Jason and I are both always real on camera. Like, we're always ourselves. Like, don't get me wrong, I like try to make sure I'm a bit maybe more well-spoken than I would care to if I was off camera, but you're more cognizant of what you're filming. Like, okay, let's make sure the lighting looks like this. All the work that goes into filming, let's make sure we're filming things that are interesting. Let's make sure there's something cohesive in the video. And so as a creator, you have to be a creator. You have to think about the creation that you're making to put on the internet. And so it takes thought and intent. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to put any thought into it, you guys. Like, and I also didn't want to just film random bits that didn't make sense going into a video, because I know it wouldn't have been that highly viewed, and it just felt more important for both of us in that moment to just like enjoy the trip. So sorry, that was kind of like a long thing about it, but you know, the Vlog-A-Ween series, my whole purpose was to kind of end with a couple fun vlogs from vacation, and we just didn't do it this year. And I'm glad we didn't, because we both really deserve to just kind of not have to be in that mindset. And I think Jason in particular, not to use that as an excuse, but he's never truly had a vacation. Like, now that he's like retired essentially and just doing what he loves, any other time we went on vacation, he would always still check in with work. Like, he'd still kind of always be checked in with work. And I don't know about you guys, I was really able to kind of check out. Like, I totally disconnected from my job. We had certain things going on at work too, like that were occurring as we were gone, and I was worried about that, but I totally checked out. I had 8 full days off from work. It was fantastic. I highly recommend that for those of you that do work for someone else, that work for the man, as they say. You know, there's perks to being an entrepreneur, but the perks for me for still working for someone, I feel like I can totally disconnect. I don't have to worry about running a business. I don't have to worry about certain things. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, that's all on you. For me, it was nice to totally check out and just be in the moment. So we had an absolutely great time, much needed, and I hope we don't wait as long to do that again. But we're back. We've kind of reintegrated back into our usual routine. It was a beautiful fall weekend still here. Like, sometimes where we live in New York, it's winter as soon as we get home, but it's still kind of like crispy leaves, fall temps. And are you guys like in Christmas mode now? Let me know in the comments or in the chat. Like, do you go from like October 31st to Christmas, or do you kind of like have this transition? You know, maybe many of you mentioned on Instagram, like after Veterans Day, you start decorating. I'm normally like ready to put up the tree the second we get home, but I haven't been as like Christmassy mode. I think just because of the fall temperatures here. But Jason already brought up the Christmas tree, and we have all kinds of Christmas decor ready to go up to be decorated. So I don't know, I think we're gonna switch it over to Christmas mode this week. But yeah, so that's kind of like most of the life updates at this moment. And on a positive note, for those of you that know like about Jason's health issues and stuff, he actually did very well. We were very smart with our vacation, that we were just kind of like, I say we paced ourselves, but we still did like walk like 8 to 10 miles a day, which if you've been to like Disney or Universal Studios, you usually walk a ton. That was us holding back with our walking, but you know, we were able to do it where he would rest, and we didn't kind of walk unnecessarily to places in an effort for him to spare himself for Halloween Horror Nights, which this is the t-shirt that I got from the trip. If you want to see it, if you're into spooky things. I really like that one. So yeah, we had a great time. We had a fantastic time. Didn't want it to end. I wasn't like angry going back to work. Like sometimes I can be angry, but I was good. I was good going back into work. I feel like it's important to, when you have vacations or just moments like that, that just really like fill up your cup, fuel your soul. It's really good to just, as long as possible, kind of like hang on to that, you know, like keep those things close. It can so easily be taken away from us when we get back into normal routine, which has to happen. But it's kind of nice to keep that little spark that's there for vacation, you know, out of routine, just kind of there, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm not a big Thanksgiving person, but you know, I do get in the holiday mode rather quickly come November. And I do like to talk to you guys too about preparing for the holidays, because I feel like this is when things can get a little hectic for people, and nutrition and fitness can go one of two ways for some people, depending on who you are. And I definitely want to hear any questions you guys have related to this with managing the holidays, because I know from my own personal experience, I've handled it differently based on my own relationship with food. So, you know, some people can go full strict mode where they can have a lot of guilt around the holidays with enjoying, you know, the social gatherings and the different types of food, and maybe an increase in calories or extra sweets and things like that you don't normally eat. Some people can feel like they need to really restrict and avoid it all. Some people have a tendency to over-exercise to compensate and earn those calories, earn the mashed potatoes. And then you've got the people who just balance it out, right? You've got other people who I've seen totally fall off the wagon, you know, from like the beginning of November through the holidays. They just boycott what they knew, what they were doing, all of their fitness plans, all of their workouts. And I get it, life gets really, really busy, but usually those people are the people that didn't have true lifestyle habits in place. Those were the people probably doing some type of fad dieting or too strict of a plan. But I think it's a time where a lot of people do need help. Interestingly enough, like I really enjoy taking on clients during this time, because for most of us, it's great if you maintain your weight. If you're someone who's focusing on weight as a goal, it's great to just, if you maintain through the holidays, that's actually huge, because the average person does tend to gain quite a bit of weight during the holidays due to all those things I just mentioned. So it's really nice sometimes to kind of shift the focus and work with people on giving themselves grace and finding those strategies on how to balance it out so that they don't feel out of control, so that you don't feel the guilt, so that you don't feel like you can't find a way to kind of enjoy the foods you like, enjoy the socialness of this time of year with family and friends, but still kind of maintain some of your progress or some of your own health and fitness goals that are important to you, which is different for everyone. Oh yes, Lexi's mentioning in the chat, I used to do like every single year I would sit down and do like, here's what you can do to kind of stay on track for the holidays. So I've definitely, I feel like beat a dead horse with that one, but I think it's always still good to bring up those reminders, because I know so many people struggle. And I myself have been through it where I've been one extreme or the other, where I either totally kind of avoided those fun foods or gatherings for that reason, more so due to like if I was bodybuilding at the time. That's kind of a different scenario. You have to be all in, no excuses, laser focus. So you kind of sign up for that if you're looking to compete. But otherwise, like, I hate to hear that people feel like they can't enjoy themselves while still working on their goals, because you can definitely have both. But for those that are here with me now, I wish I knew how many people were here. I actually can't tell with looking in the chat. But if you guys have questions, I am free to do any Q&A for anything, any topics that you have, anything you want to discuss, whether it be related to managing things going through the holiday or just in general. Margaret, you already put your tree up today. So here's the thing, our tree is up. I think I mentioned that, but part of why it's already up is because, I mean, I don't put it up, so I shouldn't say it's easy. But Jason and I bought a tree a few years ago. I think it was from the home store, it's called. And it's just literally like you push a button and it like just goes up and opens, and then he pushes a button and it closes. So it's so much easier. Like, you don't have to pull out all the individual branches. The only downside I would say to that is you can only zhuzh it up so much with the way the branches are, but it's very easy for him to bring it up and stuff. I don't have it decorated yet. Decorating the Christmas tree is a whole project for me. I love it, but it usually takes me 2 hours or so, maybe 3. Oh, my allergies are flaring today, so I'm not picking my nose. I just don't want to be sniffling on the mic for you guys. That's not cute. Oh, okay. That's a great question, Shay. As someone who lives in Ohio where wintertime is cold, I feel you, girl. We're in upstate New York here. Great and gloomy. Do you have any tips for seasonal depression or affective disorder? Yeah. And now with the daylight savings time, right? For us here, it was dark at like 5 p.m., 5-ish. Starting to get dark before 5. Like 4:45, seeing it go dark, it's like, it does kind of suck your soul out a bit, right? For me, one of the things I've noticed is, especially this time of year, it's always very challenging for me to be more productive after work or in the evening time. So like after 4 p.m., it gets really challenging to be productive and efficient with things that I need to get done. I know this about me, so it's particularly important during kind of the dark, gloomy months that I'm as productive as I can in the daylight hours. So kind of capitalizing on the light that we have earlier in the morning and really just trying to be the most productive during the sunshine or during the daytime, because it's not always sunny, especially in New York. I feel like sometimes we just don't get sun for 3 months. So that's one of my tips. I do think, as much as it can be hard to get up and get moving first thing in the morning, especially when it's cold, that's the worst. It's so hard for me. I'm the worst at it too, so don't think I've got it all figured out. But it's very hard when it's cold and gloomy to get up and get moving. So the best thing you can do is kind of set yourself up for success and make it like a no excuse scenario. You know, have your plan set in stone for the next day. Don't kind of teeter totter on what you may do. I do this a lot. Commit to it. Say, I am going to work out in the morning before work 3 times a week or whatever it may be, and have your workout outfit planned, have it out the night before, have as many things as you can be set up the night before as possible to just make it easier for you to not make excuses. You know, if I can just get up and get to the bathroom, I have my workout outfit there, I can put it on, I've got my water bottle filled, ready to go, and I'm gonna hit a home workout, or, you know, just kind of commit and really try to get yourself going during the daytime hours. I think Jason's getting nice out there. But I think that's the best thing, is trying to push as much as you can during those daytime hours. Now, for someone like myself, it is difficult because I work a 9-to-5 job. So essentially, I'm going into work and I'm there until the daylight's gone, you know. The other thing I try to do, though, with that being said, is, I don't know what you guys do for a living, but I do try to ensure that I take advantage of my breaks. You know, I am entitled to breaks at my job. It can be hard to pull away, especially being in management, but I don't care how it looks to anyone else. It's important for me to.
Show them what you made.
I'm meal prepping tonight, guys, so here's another example, trying to get yourself set up for success for the week. I wanted to do something kind of quick and simple. These were really easy. It's just egg beaters. You could certainly use regular eggs or egg whites. And then I bought some kind of already prepped peppers and onions.
They look good.
I cooked it up. Normally I would just throw them in raw, but I cooked them up to soften them up with a little garlic, mixed it together and baked it for like 20 minutes, and that's it. So these will be really easy for me to grab to work, or even as a snack too. Huh?
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I figured they may want visuals.
They may want visuals of those little egg muffins. Well, you know, Starbucks sells these egg white bites, they're called, and they're like $5 or $6. They're something ridiculously stupid, and they're really good, but I'm like, why don't I just make these at home? And now the grocery stores have them too. But like for one egg white bite, it's like $5. I'm like, what are these people doing? I can get a whole container. If I want to be real lazy, I can get a whole container of egg beaters and some chopped up vegetables for about the same price and have 12 of them. So I'm gonna kind of package those out into little Ziploc baggies and put them in the fridge, and you can freeze those as well. So yeah, that's just like a little meal prep tip for you guys. Getting back into the seasonal affect disorder though, the other thing that I bought for Jason, and he felt like this was helpful, I bought him, what's it called? Like a happy light, a sunlight, that I used it as well throughout last winter, even if I was just like sitting at my desk doing work or doing makeup or whatever I was doing, and I would just, or in the bathtub, if I take a bath, have it on me for 15 minutes where I'm absorbing those rays of light. I have heard from more like holistic practitioners that that can be helpful. So that, ensuring you're getting enough vitamin D as well. That's something that I think is really crucial. You guys should be getting lab work done, especially during the darker winter months. See where things are lacking and see if you need to supplement. And in terms of lack of sunshine, not having enough vitamin D production can make you feel more depressed. So it is really crucial to do what you can to optimize your vitamin intake, whether it be from food. Vitamin D is really, really hard to just get from food. So most people need to supplement, and there actually is some studies supporting vitamin D and optimal levels of vitamin D in reduction of the C word. We're not going to say the C word here, but the C word. So let's see. Let's see. Danica, I have a massive problem with chips and chocolate, and I feel like the cravings just never go away. I think this started getting worse after I got my IUD. Any ideas on how to lessen the cravings? That's really interesting. I've worked with some people with the IUD. I've heard good and bad about that. I don't know that I could speak to the correlation of that with your increase in cravings. So that's something interesting I could certainly look into more for you. In terms of lessening the cravings, I'm curious if it's like, I really need to blow my nose, you guys. Jason, if you can get me a tissue at some point, although then I'm blowing my nose over the mic. That's not cute either. I just have a lot of drainage right now. In terms of lessening the cravings, here's the thing. I am pro all foods fit kind of approach to a degree, because, you know, if I just wanted to eat the things I craved every day, all day, I would certainly be much heavier than I am right now, because I do crave junk. I like a lot of junk food. I like crappy food. I grew up on processed food. Should I just blow my nose over the mic though? What should I do?
Here, give it to me. I'll unplug it really quick. Stand up.
Hang on, guys. I gotta blow my nose.
I'm glad you thought of that. Blow their eardrums out.
I know. And I blow hard.
Yeah, you do.
What?
I was like, yeah, you do. And then unplugged it. What remember to say anything?
Are we on?
You're on.
And Bruce Wayne is back with an alligator. Hi, Biggins. Can you show YouTube what you got?
Bruce, come up here and lay down.
Can you show everyone?
Go.
Everybody wants to see you, dude.
Okay. Up.
Go on up there, biggies.
Go on. Up.
He's so
King
friggin'
of the
cute.
castle.
I can't handle it. He's so cute. He's the real star of the show. Yeah, so to lessen your cravings, so I would definitely look at your overall diet and really kind of maybe track for a bit. If you're not someone that tracks, you don't have to, but I would say track for at least a week and take a look at what your eating pattern is like. I do find, you know, once you kind of work on your variety of foods in your diet, what you're consuming, spacing them out appropriately, making sure that you are getting in enough carbs, protein, and fats, it can help kind of lessen the cravings. You know, once you get into more of a consistent pattern and making sure that you're eating more of the right foods, it can lessen those cravings for the quote-unquote bad foods, which there are really no bad foods, but I'm not going to sit here and say we should eat pizza and chocolate and chips all the time. Absolutely not. But, you know, kind of honing in on what your diet looks like right now and not really taking anything away. I think oftentimes we want to start by taking things away. That's like what clients say to me, like we should cut things back and I should do more cardio. No, let's look at what we can add to your diet. Let's see what we can add in there to have you feeling more satisfied, more energized, better mood. What's your sleep looking like? What's your stress looking like? There's other hormones going on within the body as well that can impact our cravings. It's legit. It's not made up. You're not weak. You're not undisciplined or anything like that. There are things that can go on with your hormones as well that could be impacting it. So if you are in the IUD, I would definitely also make sure that you had maybe some lab work done if they're willing to do that with your gynecologist. Just female hormones, all, you know, full panel of things could also give you some insight into stuff and just be more helpful. I'm someone that I like numbers, I like data, and when I see things like my own numbers, it motivates me. I want all my numbers, I want all the things to look good, and then you start thinking more and more about your eating choices in terms of what tastes good and what sounds good. You quit just thinking about that and you start to think about, well, what's really going to nourish me more? You know, you can't choose every meal based off of what sounds the best. I mean, you absolutely can. Some people do. There's days that I do it all day long, not going to lie. But then sometimes we need to kind of switch gears and think, what is going to be more nourishment for us versus just what tastes good? Hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. The Heather Joe, 75, I've gained weight. Oop, I hate it when I scroll while I'm reading something. I've gained weight since my hysterectomy. I'm 46 with endometriosis. Am I crazy or is it harder to lose weight after menopause? I work out 5 days a week. You are absolutely not crazy, the Heather Joe. Guessing your name's Heather? You are absolutely not crazy. Unfortunately, this is reality. This is not made up. It does get more challenging to lose weight the older you get. Not necessarily always just with age, but menopause and the change of your hormones. It's not impossible to still lose weight, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it that you may have to work harder, unfortunately. This is the card that we're dealt as we age, which is a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, you have to be blessed to be here. You have to be blessed with every year that we're kind of given to still be here and to still enjoy the moment, because no day is guaranteed. And I try to remind myself of that all the time in effort to not sweat the small shit, you know, like your pants fitting tighter than you prefer. All right, that sucks. It's annoying, but you know what? Thankfully, life goes on. We're here, we're blessed, and try to stay more grateful. But yes, you are not crazy, unfortunately. That is an area I would like to look more into, but I have worked with some women, and it is more challenging with those hormonal shifts after menopause. Chelsea says, I've had I don't know how to say your last name, Chelsea. I've had major surgery. I'm on a strict no lifting over 5 pounds for 8 weeks. I'm struggling with overcompensating, lack of motion with restriction. How do you personally get past that mental struggle of if it's okay to eat? That's a great question, Chelsea. And I think a lot of people have gone through this. And I was someone who hadn't gone through this for most of my life up until 2 years ago when I broke my shoulder. Now, I was still able to move, but you are not alone. Injuries happen, all right, regardless of age. Whether you're young, middle of your life, or elderly, injuries happen, and you can be put on restrictions in an instinct. It can change your life, right? Like, things can change your life that quickly, where normal exercise is no longer an option for you. So I want you to remember, although you can't lift, I'm assuming you can still move, right? And really what it comes down to for your body is it does appreciate movement. So if you're still able to take a walk here and there, get your body moving, get blood flow, do things, even if it's just body weight movements without physical lifting, and maybe it looks different, right? It looks different than what your usual exercise was like. I understand it's a mental fuck to switch over to that. It's hard. When that was all ripped away from me because of a quick shoulder injury, that was a tough pill for me to swallow. I had never been injured before. I didn't know what to make of it. But honestly, depending on the injury, I had a fractured bone, you have a stress-induced injury going on, which your body may require more calories and effort to heal. I'm not sure what kind of surgery you had, but any kind of surgery, you have had some type of trauma to the body, and you're going to require a higher level of calories. Your metabolic needs are actually going to be higher regardless of your workout efforts changing. So remember that. Your body still needs to be nourished. You still deserve food, good hearty meals. You don't need to restrict. You actually want to do the opposite. You want to stick with whatever your normal meals were for maintenance, because your body does have that increased calorie need. But understood, it is challenging. It's a mental shift, but let me tell you, Chelsea, it'll be a great learning lesson when you come out of it. I know for me, it gave me a huge perspective on my body and how I treat my body. I've never been the same since, because I'm just kind of considerate. It really flipped the switch for me, which I think was needed to really... Tom Wrong Pan Yam, thank you for subscribing. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you're here, if you're watching this video live or watching the playback. Always appreciate it when you guys subscribe. Thank you so much. Sorry I butchered your name. But yeah, you will get major benefits, a learning lesson, an appreciation of your body, and just kind of thinking long term. I think I was selfish for a while with how I treated my body in an effort to look a certain way versus thinking about longevity and feeling strong as I age. You know, you kind of get in this mindset when you're in your 20s, I feel like, 20s and early 30s, that like you're always just going to stay there. And you're not. Like, if you're blessed to, you get to age, you get to get older, and you have to think about your body's health. Well, you don't have to, but you probably should. You probably should if you want to have any kind of longevity with your workouts. So injuries for me, take the learning lessons from it as much as you can. I know, being that runner that I was, I remember when I was running marathons, I would tell people that, and they were like, oh, I remember running. I'm like, what do you mean you remember running? You're like 50 years old, 60 years old. Oh yeah, I can't run anymore. Knees are bad. This is bad. That's bad. And a lot of these people that I spoke to, sometimes, yeah, running's not always great for the body. Nothing's great for the body if you overdo it, overtax your body. But there's also a way to do it without overdoing it. And oftentimes runners do overdo it. And I just keep that perspective that it's not worth overdoing it where you won't have that longevity with your body. That's just a side note. But yes, don't restrict. You still need the nourishment, and if you can, still get moving in some form or another, even if it's not your norm, because it'll be so good for your mental health in addition to the physical health. Fat to Fit Gabby, when calculating my TDEE calories for weight loss, does my body fat percentage amount matter, or can I just leave that out since I'm obese with a high body fat? You know, normally I don't compensate for that. Some people do. It kind of depends. Here's the thing. These calculations, they're never an exact science. So I have seen where some people do calculate for higher BMI, for obesity. You know, I used to do that in a clinical setting, but more oftentimes than not, I did not I usually just try to do a regular equation for finding your caloric needs and start with that. Like, you don't need to get so nailed down to the nitty-gritty of the equation. Start with that basic formula of what you came up with if you're kind of following set macros or calories or whatever you're doing, and do that consistently for a while. Like, more than 3 days, more than a week. Some people get so caught up in, well, I've done this for 3 days and I'm not seeing any results yet. Yeah, because it takes way longer than 3 days to see the results. This is not The Biggest Loser. Thank God that show is not on TV anymore. Ugh. But, give yourself some time with it and adjust as needed. Even as a clinician, it's not a perfect science. There's tweaking because there's always other things that are encompassed in that equation in terms of how metabolically active you are, right? It's more than just muscle to fat ratio and bone density and water mass. It's also, age, it's stress, it's sleep, it's all these other things it's hormones that do play into your ability to expend calories and how effectively you do that. Yeah, Brittany, I agree. Brittany Ackman, I always struggle to get motivated in the winter. It's tough. Like, I used to always, and this could be a tip for you guys as well. I used to always do group classes, and I would always join kind of like, it was like Project 42 it was called. It doesn't exist anymore, sadly, but it was such a great gym with a group of people, and you kind of did it together. So you had this community, you felt like you needed to show up every day. Not just for yourself, but it's like for the group, And if you didn't show up, you knew they were going to know you didn't show up because you were either sleeping in or being lazy or something. So group classes, like things like that for me, when I'm feeling unmotivated, can go a long way. Other times I'm the opposite. Other times I'm most motivated when I'm working out alone, if I'm doing it in my basement where no one sees me and I'm totally unjudged and not having to worry about being judged. I'm just down there, whether it be in my PJs or a bomb-ass Buff Bunny collection fit. I'm down there doing the thing. So just trying to maybe switch it up. I think sometimes when we get unmotivated, you have to lean in on the established habits that you've created. And with that, be willing to tweak. Be willing to be flexible, to change the way your routine looks. There's nothing wrong with that. We all get into ruts, and I've always been someone that's kind of shifted my goals, whether it be, a running goal versus lifting, or focusing on strength, and am I lifting heavier weights each week, or sometimes it's just focusing on group classes. Like, I used to love Zumba and boot camps and things like that. And I think those are more open back up right now too, even with the pandemic. So if you're comfortable with something like that, I know some people aren't, but that sometimes is a really great option. I'm someone that feeds off other people's energy too. So even if I'm feeling unmotivated, if I'm kind of seeing the same familiar faces every day, you kind of, it gives you that bit of support, even if it's unspoken. It's a bit of support that gets you there every day and helps you get it done. So, let's see. What are, Bijal Naik? Sorry. What are your top 3 tips if you want to lose weight? Like, I know what I eat is important, but what would help weight loss? Like, should I do weights 4 times a week? How often to do cardio? That is probably like the most common question I get as a dietitian, where someone wants me, and this is no hate towards you. This is just, it's a common question that I get from people, even when I meet them and I'm like, I'm a dietitian. Oh, tell me how to lose weight. I don't have a 2-sentence answer to give you to help you achieve that. That's why my profession is here. That is why there is dietitian professionals. It looks different for everyone. That's what I'm here to tell you. You don't have to work with a professional to help you meet your goals, but there is a lot more to it than just like a 1-sentence answer that I can tell you. Your generic answer is going to be move more, eat less, right? Like, that is the most common theme you're going to get from someone in the fitness nutrition industry on how to lose weight, right? But it's more than that. It's more than that, because if you want to lose weight and actually keep it off, there's real work that has to be done there. There's a lot of layers that you have to kind of dive into to look at your current habits, be willing to assess what in your situation right now is maybe working against you, what's detracting from your goal, and what's helping your goal. And in some of those detractors, what can you nail down that you're willing to maybe make some improvements on? Maybe nutrition's solid, or maybe it's not solid, but you're not willing to make changes there. Maybe your workouts are kind of subpar, so maybe it's increasing the intensity of the workouts. Maybe it's not the frequency. Frequency could be one thing. Again, some people aren't willing to increase frequency. Depends on your lifestyle. Do you have children that you have to take care of? Do you have a job? Do you have other things that prevent you from the frequency that you desire? Okay, if you can't increase the frequency, you can look at the intensity of the workouts that are being performed. Most of us, myself included, are not putting forth 110% effort in each and every workout. Number one, that's not really a realistic thing to do. I always, in my mind, there's that bit of bodybuilding prep that's still instilled in me in terms of how I went about workouts and nutrition. But in normal life, no, you're not giving 110% in every workout. So is there some room to improve within the workouts? Whether it's keeping your heart rate up during your workouts a bit longer, whether it's lifting a bit heavier, are you getting complacent in that department? Are you actually tracking your reps? Can you do more reps? Those are areas that you can progress as well. And yes, that can assist with your weight loss goals. Sometimes changing that bit of intensity in the workouts is the one thing that's missing. So a lot of stuff can be impacted by that. I can't give you one straight answer on how you can best lose weight because it's so much more than all this, right? There's the lifestyle habits, there's the behaviors. A lot of that is really what sometimes needs to get dug into a bit more. And I say that because I can give you generic advice all day long. I can make a killing right now taking on clients and getting some banging before and after photos, helping folks lose weight by restricting their calories and making them do crazy amounts of cardio. But if you don't take into consideration all the other things, medical conditions, lifestyle habits, what's your environment like? What's your family like? What's your family supports like? What's your social situation like? How's your sleep? How's your stress? How's your lab work? All these other things play into your ability to lose weight, number one, and number two, your ability to maintain and sustain it long term. Hey, Biggs. So there's a lot that goes on in it. That's why we have nutrition professionals to work with you. Sometimes working with someone like a dietitian can be helpful because, oh, look at these eyes. Kisses. Okay. Because sometimes we need that additional support, that extra set of eyes to see the things you may not be seeing. So yeah, that's my response. How do you maximize sleep quality? Asked Stephen James. That's a great question. Maximize sleep quality. I mean, the basics here, which again, guilty as charged. I think a lot of us are, especially more and more as social media develops. I'm sitting here at 8 o'clock at night, New York, Eastern Standard Time, talking to you guys with huge lights on me. This room is well lit right now. Hang on, Bruce needs his stuffed animal. This is important. Is that what you're looking for, Biggs? Steve has seen better days, you guys. Do you want him? What were you looking for? Maximizing your sleep quality, you need to, number one, I think about caffeine. How's your caffeine intake? What are you consuming, how much, and what times of the day? Because caffeine can peak in your bloodstream 7 to 9 hours after consuming it. So if you're like myself, who drank a coffee at 1:30 this afternoon, it is peaking in my bloodstream as we speak. Maybe not smart. Maybe not smart. Caffeine is huge. Pay attention to that to optimize your sleep quality. That's one thing. Number two, your sleep environment. And are you waiting for me to feed you? I can't feed you right now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Live off the land for a minute. Things such as your sleep environment, are you laying in your bedroom on your phone trying to fall asleep? I feel like your bedroom should be for sleep. Like sleep and fun things, you know what I'm saying? But don't be doing other things in there. Go to bed when you need just to sleep. Don't be on your phone, watching TV, doing all the other things. That can impact your sleep quality. It honestly can. Save the bedroom for sleep and sex, okay? Bruce gave me the eyes. Think about the lights. Think about the social media lights, the TV, kind of shutting things down a bit earlier than normal. Again, really getting your body able to relax early enough. And it's not just about being able to fall asleep, right? It's about being able to stay asleep. So really setting the mode, getting the lights down, not having a lot of stimulus right before you go to bed. Visual things, dietarily speaking, not consuming large meals before bed, especially meals high in fat. Fat foods, high fat foods, or fat in general, is just harder to digest. It's a harder macronutrient to break down in the body, which is why it leaves us feeling so full, right? It is more calorically dense, but it is just more difficult for the body to break down. So if it is 10 o'clock at night and you normally go to bed at 10:30 and you eat pizza, I don't know how many times I've heard people be like, oh, I can't eat pizza before bed, it keeps me up at night. And it's like, well, does it keep you up at night? Is it the pizza, or is it the fact that you had like a high fat meal right before you went to bed? Like, let's not demonize the pizza. Let's like talk about that situation of how you ate the pizza. So really thinking about nutritionally what you're doing right before bed as well, consuming higher fat meals, or large meals right before bed. If your body, you're trying to shut down, you're trying to wind down and sleep, but your body's trying to digest, you may find some frequency with waking up throughout the night. And also same with fluids, Look, I can sleep through a zombie apocalypse with 2 gallons of water in me. This girl is not waking up for nothing. I tell you, I am a deep, deep sleeper once I get there, but not everyone's like that. So you have to also think about your fluid intake. If you're someone who's waking up throughout the night, because you drank a lot, the timing of that, you may need to shift that back. So there's a lot more that can go into that as well, but those are just some of my kind of generic tips on that. Yeah, what's up, Fit Trucker? I didn't know you were here today. What's up? Travis says, can trying a new fitness discipline help motivate you through the winter lows? Have a wonderful week, fam. Absolutely. I think I kind of went through this a bit before, but I think trying a new fitness avenue, like for myself, I've gone back and forth with this, doing things on my own versus like a group atmosphere, or even just changing the dynamic of like, okay, maybe I'm going to switch my focus to yoga and I'm going to like do yoga 4 times a week instead of this, or I'm going to do Zumba, or I'm going to do like at-home classes. Sometimes that's just the shift you may need to stay motivated. Don't judge yourself about it. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and it goes for the most motivated of anyone. Doesn't matter. It is fleeting, especially with working out. So, don't judge yourself. Change things up, try new things out, see how they go. You may find something you really, really enjoy that you kind of follow that path for a bit. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes you may see more benefits from shifting things up. Your body, what was that? P90X, do you guys remember that? The whole thing with P90X was muscle confusion, But I do feel like there is a little bit of reality to that, and not doing the same thing all the time, depending on your goals, just in terms of mentally being excited about it. It makes a lot of sense. Teresa Merck says she's lost 30 pounds since September due to intermittent fasting and medicine her doctor gave her. I'm wondering, with the holidays coming, how to handle and get back on schedule. Congrats, Teresa, on your weight loss and what you're doing. Hopefully it sounds like that's working for you and you're under the guidance of your doctor, so that's great. In terms of entering the holiday season, I think it's always good to kind of think about, it can get really overwhelming. So really thinking about, what is it that concerns you about the holiday season? Is it the gatherings? Is it the food? You know, sometimes we're just concerned about it, but we don't take it any further. So really starting to map out a plan. Maybe map out a plan for the next 6 weeks or how many ever weeks we have of the holiday season, and you know, doing a little calendar and asterisk the days that you have events where you've got fun food or different things that maybe could throw you off track a bit, and just kind of start taking note of that and plan accordingly through your weeks, you know. Or if you know you're going to have a busy weekend where you're going to be out and about and doing a ton of other things, you know, make those adjustments. You're never going to lose progress based on one day, not even 2 days. It's when we continue to pile it on top of another, when it's week after week after week, that we make excuses and kind of fall out of our normal patterns. Don't let one day of hanging out with friends or Christmas shopping instead of doing your normal thing, don't let one day make you feel like you've totally lost track. You have not. You know, most people, like, what's the analogy? That's the word. Sorry, it's getting late. When it gets late, I lose my words. What's the analogy they say? You know, if you have one flat tire, you don't go out and slash the other 3, right? But we always tend to do so with our diet because of this inability to be okay with flexibility within our diet. The diet culture, right? It's those toxic thoughts that sometimes take over in our mind and end up sabotaging us. So it's okay to be flexible with yourself, you know, be realistic. I'm not saying like don't do what works for you, but understand it's okay to be flexible. So Fat to Fit Gabby also asked, can I still eat pineapple, oranges, grapes, grits, pizza, fried chicken, and cake and still end up reversing my prediabetes? Yeah, I mean, there's no certain foods that are going to just automatically cause you to become diabetic. If you're pre-diabetic, if your doctor's telling you you're pre-diabetic, you are in that sweet spot where it is kind of crucial. It's time for you to make a decision. Are you ready and willing to change your life and effort to hopefully not have to become diabetic and have to take on, you know, pharmaceutical management of this and whatever else may come of becoming diabetic? Are you willing to make some changes or not? So if you are willing to make some changes, something has to change, right? So you can't just keep doing whatever it is that you're doing at the moment. So it's not to say one food is better than the other. You can still eat fruit. You can still eat things that contain sugar. What's likely going to help you best is trying to have a reduction in the added sugars coming in your diet. So anything with added sugar. Oh my goodness, I gotta take a picture of this. The dog moved the pillow and he's now sleeping on it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm crazy, right? Oh, that's going to rotate on me. Yep, he's sleeping on the pillow. Something's going to have to change though. So you're going to need to be willing to maybe, losing weight can be helpful for most people. We have seen that in studies. Folks who actually lose a little bit of weight tend to see improvements in glycemic control. But yeah, paying attention to any added sugars in your diet and other processed food will be important. So I'm not going to sit here and specifically say, no, you can't have fried chicken or you can't have fruit, but something will need to change in effort to improve those blood values. Brittany Ackerman asked, do you know anything about unwanted dark hair on your chin, belly, and chest? Sometimes that can be an indication of some type of hormonal imbalance, particularly estrogen levels and something called PCOS. So if you are having some unwanted hair growth, that would be worth talking to your doctor about. There are labs they can take to assess if you have PCOS or not, and there may be some type of hormonal management that can be done to assist with that. Oh my goodness, Ashley Esparza, I'm a 30-year-old recovering from shingles, and that was definitely a reality check for my high-stress life. You poor thing. Any tips for foods that can help with stress management? That's a great question. Oh my goodness. Number one, I am so glad you're recovering. I'm glad you're okay. Jason had chickenpox as an adult. He didn't get chickenpox till he was like 25, I think. Were you 25, babe? Or maybe earlier? I don't know if he can hear me. I think he's eating ice cream or something. But yeah, it was the hardest thing. He was in the hospital twice, and it rocked us. It rocked him. It was very difficult to go through. So I could definitely, and I think shingles is even worse. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. In terms of foods to help with stress management, I guess that's a really cool question. I really like that. I would say just anything that would be more anti-inflammatory could maybe be helpful for you during this time, because your body's been under so much stress, right, from everything. So I could see where maybe inflammation could have increased within your body. I wonder if you even see, well, you probably have some body aches and things like that, right, from the shingles. I actually ran a marathon one time. A guy in my training group had shingles, and he ran the whole marathon with shingles. I don't know how he was not hospitalized. It was crazy, but he was so sick. So I would say looking more anti-inflammatory, actually. So high antioxidants, you know, lots of berries, not even just berries though, lots of fruits, vegetables, getting in some heart healthy fats can help with anti-inflammation. Things like salmon, your fatty-based fish, walnuts. Just kind of do a quick Google search on anti-inflammatory foods, which end up being all kind of wholesome, hearty, well-nutritious foods anyways, but maybe kind of bumping those things up, even if it's like doing green juices. Look, I'm not anti-juicing at all. I love a good green juice, but in a time like this, when you're really trying to pack a lot of punch in terms of antioxidants, if you get the real, actual cold-pressed juices with no added junk in them, that might be helpful right now, just kind of while you're trying to get your immune system back up to par, reduce the inflammation and things like that. But I hope you recover well from that, you poor thing. Oh, I think you can do shingles shots too, right? Is there like a shot for everything? I think there's like a shingles vaccine, but I don't think they give it to someone of your age. Like, I think they only give you the vaccine for shingles if you're like over 50. I could be wrong. Let me know if you know. Oh, Savannah Joyful. Wait, what was your issue with The Biggest Loser? My issue with The Biggest Loser was the promotion of such rapid, drastic weight loss and normalizing it. It wasn't that what they were doing was awful. They were encouraging people to eat healthy, nutritious foods. They were encouraging people to work out with intensity. It was disciplined. It was structured. But they removed people out of their natural habitat, right? These people were removed from their normal lifestyle, and they were placed in this housing situation, or whatever you may call it, where they had trainers with them nonstop. And I get it. They were learning the structure of it. You guys can check out a video I did when I was a camp counselor, nutrition instructor, and what I thought about that experience. You may enjoy that video. I talk a lot in detail about my concerns as a dietitian with those types of programs. But yeah, with The Biggest Loser, it was all about celebrating the highest weight loss every week. And when you watched the show, the people would lose 10 pounds a week. Yes, they were extremely obese, right? So they were losing water weight, but they were also likely losing muscle mass. When you lose weight at such a rapid pace, you're not just losing fat, you're also going to be possibly losing muscle mass, which we always have to consider the fact that our heart is a muscle, and rapid weight loss is not always the way to go. And they have done some research as well with The Biggest Loser. Gosh, it's been a while. I maybe did a video on that too. It'd be really cool to see now. But they did follow up with all the Biggest Loser contestants and their ability to maintain weight loss. And I think it was pretty slim pickings, their ability to maintain that weight loss long term. So unfortunately, I just don't feel like they took the right approach with working with people with where they're at. There's something called stages of change in an effort to have a long-term lasting effect, you need to work with people with where they're at. But I didn't like that The Biggest Loser just glorified losing tons of weight. So what I saw as an outcome from that show is when people lost 2 pounds, it was like bad. All of a sudden people thought, well, I only lost a pound, or I only lost 2, or I only lost half a pound. And all of a sudden people think they're not doing enough because they were so used to The Biggest Loser, seeing people lose these ridiculous amounts of weight. And then you're made to feel like your self-value is based on losing more and more and more, when it's not about that. It's about getting your shit together. It's about changing your life. It's about figuring out what you need to do that you can sustain long term. So that was my problem with that. Let's see. When you feel like binge eating, how do you cope with that urge? Well, I don't have that issue, but I would just say if that is a struggle for you, girl power, definitely reach out to someone. Binge eating disorder is a real disorder, and if it's something that's occurring with you frequently, you should reach out to someone for help. But I always do like to caution the fact that binge eating, I feel like, is a misused word or not appropriately used word. I hear people say that a lot, that they binge when you simply just overate. So it's kind of understanding, are you truly struggling with binge eating disorder? Or are you someone who's just overeating? There is a big difference. There is a checklist you can take a look at online that you go through that kind of would indicate if you possibly have diagnosed binge eating disorder. That may be something to take a look at. I would focus my efforts there first, and maybe reaching out and speaking with a health professional, a dietitian, or your doctor about that. But I do just want to say it's natural to want to overeat for most of us, even the most disciplined. Food tastes good. And for those of us, at least living in the United States, man, food has gotten creative and insane, like to just the creations of food, right? Like they're just insane. They were down in Florida for Halloween Horror Nights too. I was like, wow, I want a donut that has a burger shoved between it with this on it and that. Like, mind blown, these creations we have now. It's very, very tempting. But it is normal to want to overeat. It's normal to want to eat more than what your body's asking for. Most of us in our adult lives are no longer intuitive eaters. Some are. There's a huge push right now for intuitive eating. It's definitely more popular. It's more trendy, which I think is great. I'm all for it. But I would say kind of understanding the difference between, are you struggling with binging versus just overeating, and trying to slow down and take note of what your body is telling you. I think we're always in such a rush to make food decisions, especially when people are asking us, like, come on, have a slice of pizza, have this, have that. You don't have to feel peer pressured. It's your body, your choice, what you're putting in there. So feel free to slow down and make that decision. And if you're kind of in that moment where you're unsure if you're about to overeat or binge, give yourself 10 minutes. Set an alarm, give yourself 10 minutes, walk away, go occupy yourself. Whether it be going to listen to music, taking a walk, folding some laundry, answering some emails, getting some stuff done, and then come back to it in 10 minutes. And how are you still thinking about it, or are you over it? And then make your decision. Sasha Martinez, would I recommend pursuing a degree as a dietitian? My biggest concern is a job prospect. Sasha, take a look on my YouTube channel as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you are just joining the live, make sure you are subscribed. You can go right on my homepage and search my videos. I've been on YouTube 10 years now, so I have lots of helpful videos, a lot of which the information is still relevant. You can search in there why you shouldn't become a dietitian. It's a video I did 2 years ago now, I want to say. It's a really helpful video that will give you a bit more insight. But to quickly answer you, for job prospect, being a dietitian, there are loads of job prospects, especially in this virtual world that we live in now, which is so cool. There's so many more opportunities, but as a dietitian, there are so many different jobs out there. There really are. But I do think it is important to understand all of what needs to be learned, and you have to do an internship to become a registered dietitian, so you can't just kind of pinhole yourself into, well, I want to be a private dietitian and only work with clients that want to lose weight. Had a lot of those going through college, and they were just so narrow-minded when it came to working with geriatrics, when it came with working with mental illness, when it came with working with kids in food service, when it came with working for nonprofit organizations in the community, Meals on Wheels, things like that. There are so many areas that dietitians work, and you need to be open and willing to take in those experiences and understand them. So you don't have to be an expert in every single area, but you do have to be willing, at least during the schooling process, to be on board with all that. And in my schooling, I had a lot of people that weren't real people. They weren't real friendly. They weren't real warm and cozy. And quick little story for you. The first time I interned as an 18-year-old little gal, I went into a nursing home, and the first patient I ever went into interview by myself as a pursuing diet tech at the time, I walked into her room and I said, Mrs. So-and-so, my name is Kara, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, honey, can you help me clasp my bra? And I walked in, she had her old lady titties just hanging on out, and she needed help with her bra. And I was like, sure thing, that's what I'm here for. Came on over, hooked the titties back in there, went about our merry way, and I did my interview. That story could not have prepared me more for the world of dietetics. You have to be a people person. You have to want to help people. You have to be willing to work with all kinds of people. And I saw a lot of people that came through schooling where I went that just wanted to be a dietitian because A, they saw it as a route to stay thin for life. They had their own eating disorder shit. Or B, they had their own idea of what it meant to be a dietitian and really had no interest in any other path. You have that choice when you become a professional, but as you're going through school and interning, you have to be willing to go through all those experiences, whether it's cutting cucumbers in a kitchen and having your eyes on supervision and what you're seeing and things that are being done, or whether it's working with a patient that absolutely doesn't want your help, but you are required in a hospital setting to attempt to interview them, assess them, help them, and document. So there's a lot of other things there to consider, but check out my video. You may find it very helpful. I knew Lexi would know about the shingle shots. Thank you for that, Lexi. Keto Vlogs. Hello, Kara. What healthy food adjustments do you recommend for someone who's never had a consistent or structured diet? Hope all is well. That's a great question. You know, just kind of starting out for you, if you've never had a structured diet, here's the thing. Some people do better with structure than others. Structure can help in a lot of ways, but it doesn't mean you have to eat the same exact foods every single day. Junoesque 27, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you sticking around, being here. More videos will come on the YouTube, you guys. I plan to do more of these lives as you guys seem to quite enjoy them, and I like just being able to actively engage with you. I see that through the Buff Bunny collection review videos, and it makes me want to kind of modify things and do a bit more of this style with you. But back to Kato's question. Eating structured or trying to transition to that a bit to see how it goes for you does not have to mean you're on a meal plan. It doesn't have to mean you eat the same foods every day. My best tip for you is to sit down and just kind of like write down what foods you love. Like, don't worry about anything else. Just go through. I kind of like to make it easy, and I think about like, well, what fruits do I like? What fruits do I love? What vegetables do I like? What protein sources do I like? What etc. You get the point. And then you can take it a step further. How do I like enjoying these foods? Like, do I like peaches fresh, or do I like them canned or prepped or frozen? Like, kind of taking it a step further, just identifying what foods you like, how you like to eat them, maybe taking a look at how they pair well together, kind of coming up with some meal creations, and then base your shopping list on that. And it can help to have a set plan. Like for me, the weeks that I have a set plan, if you will, for the work week, not a meal plan, but like Jason came in and showed you guys those egg muffins. For me, I'm like, okay, that provides me some structure and some consistency for part of my breakfast for the work week. So tomorrow morning, when I'm getting all my stuff to run out of the house, I'm not like, what am I going to have for breakfast? Well, I don't know. So I'm just going to grab a protein bar. You know, it provides me some structure. Okay, I'm going to grab my egg muffins, and then I've got some beef and potatoes and carrots prepped. I'm going to grab that for lunch, and kind of have some things that you enjoy. Purchase them, get them prepped, and get them in the fridge. That will give you some consistency. Jason and I really nailed down kind of proteins that we both enjoy, which makes it easier to eliminate waste. You know, we both like slow-cooked chicken in the slow cooker. So easy, no nonsense. We throw those boobies in the slow cooker, 10 hours, shred it up. We keep it in the fridge plain, which allows some options. You can eat it plain, or you can add salsa to it, or I can make a chicken salad with it, or I could throw it in a soup. Like having those staple proteins in the fridge, oh my gosh. Number one tip, goes so far, because protein is not easily accessible. It takes a bit. It always takes work with protein. Carbohydrates, the breads, the crackers, the cookies, that shit's easy. It's always there. It's easy to grab. But the proteins and things like fruits and vegetables, having them chopped, having them cut up, having them the way you enjoy them though. They don't have to be fresh. I lived off little fruit cups for years, frozen vegetables, canned vegetables, do you. But kind of identify some basics, some staple basics that you like. Try it once, try it for a week, see what you like, see how it goes, and then you can kind of switch it up week to week, or if it worked really well for you, you keep it going the next week. But you have to put in a little bit of time to kind of work with it. Write it down, create a shopping list, create some foods, maybe go on Pinterest, go on YouTube, search some fun recipes that really kind of tickle your pickle, spark your interest, and have fun with it if you're someone that does like to cook or try new recipes. Nelly Belly, I like that name. What advice would you give someone who wants to get back on track and lose some lbs? Yeah, I mean, I think that's just like a general question. We kind of discussed it a bit earlier in the live, but just getting back on track. For me, for instance, like coming off of vacation, I always struggle with like getting back into my routine. I feel like I'm the opposite. Like I feel like a lot of people come back from vacation and they're like dying to get back into their routine and their things. It's always a bit wonky for me. It always takes me a few days. Sometimes I got to start fresh, like new work week, getting back into my flow of things. I always feel a little off after vacation. So getting back into it, kind of like I did today, I identified some easy meals to have ready for the work week. So just kind of get back into making sure you're putting in a little bit of effort with your meals, making sure you have food readily available so you're not undernourishing during the day when you're busy, and then at nighttime eating the entire kitchen. Make sure you kind of come up with a plan. Like what sounds good to you, Nelly Belly? Like, do you enjoy working out? Like how many times a week? What's realistic for you? Kind of write out your goals. When you actually like write your intentions out too, there is a higher success rate with people that actually do physically write it out and achieve it. So just kind of jot some things down, like what is getting back on track for you. Getting back on track for me is getting my meals ready. It's getting back to some consistency with my workouts. It's trying to get my sleep schedule readjusted because we were wild and staying up past 10 o'clock at night. So I'm like, your girl's been staying up till 1 a.m. Like, who is she? She's too old for this. So, you know, it's going to look a little bit different for everyone in terms of what getting back on track is. So take a look at what it is you think is off track and assess how you can kind of slowly get things back on the track that you prefer, that makes you feel the best. Jessica John 92, any tips for rebalancing your body after years of constant stress, school and work full time? I think I gained most of my weight due to stress and work nights for 7 years. Yeah, I mean, I would say number one would be the mental aspect of that, like rebalancing your body if you were under that much stress, and hopefully you're not under that much stress now. But when you're under that much stress for that duration of time, it's not going to be something you can kind of quickly reverse. Again, it goes back to kind of some of those small baby steps that you have to take, and being patient with yourself and understanding what your body went through for 7 years, and it can't all be reversed in a day, in a week, or maybe even a year. Or maybe it won't ever fully be reversed, you know? But trying to be patient with yourself in the process of rebalancing, and keeping in mind, because your body was used to such high stress, you're someone that would likely really benefit from adding in things like meditation, things like yoga, things like that that are really going to bring you back to a state of what's internally going on in your body. Deep breathing exercises. These are things we can all benefit from 100%. I highly encourage that for all of us. But for someone like yourself, building that into your routine, and maybe even starting with that as your addition to your lifestyle, instead of changing anything else, maybe it's adding in the meditation practices, the deep breathing, the things like that, to kind of keep that mindfulness about what your body's gone through, and kind of respecting your body and listening to it and being in tune with it and what your body needs. There's really no greater thing than yoga, and I feel like how it mentally sets you up for the day and how to handle things and how to tackle things. So that would be my best tip for you. What are the Caring Farm D? What are your opinions on plant versus whey-based protein powders? What are your favorite brands and flavors of each that you have tried? I personally, this is interesting because I used to always only have like whey isolate, but I found, and I used to think people were like making it up. I never had any issues with lactose intolerance ever. Your girl handles her dairy. I produce the enzyme. We are good. I hope it stays that way. But I noticed like over time that like I was struggling with whey protein, that it was bothering me a bit, especially if I had too much of it too. So for me personally, this is just my own personal thing. This isn't from a nutritional aspect. I prefer the plant-based proteins because I don't have any kind of digestive issues with them. Do I feel one superior over the other? I don't. I think do which one you like, you prefer. I think the bigger thing is finding a protein that you enjoy. My number one protein is by Ambrosia. It is, they have so many good flavors. It's called Planta protein, and it is a plant-based protein. It's a little more expensive, but it also aids as a supplement. Like there are so many additional vitamins and minerals added in there. They have one called chocolate caramel candy bar. It essentially tastes like a Twix bar. They have a banana maple French toast one. They have tons of flavors. The consistency is the best I've ever tasted for a vegan plant-based protein. So good. That would be my number one recommendation, is the Ambrosia plant proteins. You can get them from Tiger Fitness. You can also get them like from their website directly, and like Vitamin Shop and stuff like that. Whey protein I don't do a lot of, but I used to love MTS Nutrition. Some of you may know I worked with them for like my entire career on YouTube almost. Like they have the best whey protein flavors, textures, all that kind of stuff. Oh, thank you so much. Claire G says, just taking a sec to say you and Jason, of course, Bruce Wayne, are amazing. Oh, he's so tired and hungry down there. I probably will end this live stream soon because I think we've been going for like an hour almost. But a couple more questions here. Shay M, do you have any thoughts on natural artificial flavors and sucralose? I do. Like, I stick with the research on this, and as long as you are not over consuming them, which there is a level, the generally recommended acceptance level of those, if you don't over consume them, we don't really see in the research to have any negative side effects. However, there is more newer research, I should say, in terms of potential gut issues with some of the artificial sweeteners and how it could potentially maybe change our gut microbiome and cause some gut health issues. There is research occurring on that, but I generically, as per usual with these kinds of questions, I say, it's for me, like, some people go natural. They think natural is the way to go. If you're having natural sweeteners like sugar, honey, maple syrup, things like that, does that digest better for you? I think you have to kind of look at what your goals are. Are you looking from a health standpoint? If you're going health, I say go all natural. Avoid anything artificial if possible. What I will say is it's hard. The artificial stuff is in everything. So it's not even just adding like Splenda or drinking diet soda. Like you'll find granola bars, right, that have like sucralose added to them. So it can be in everything. But I would say, yeah, from a health perspective, artificial sweeteners don't do anything beneficial to our health. Could they potentially harm it? Maybe. From a weight loss perspective, can they be helpful in terms of restriction of calories, helping you lose weight? Absolutely. So what are your goals? Or for someone who is diabetic, looking to not have that type of glycemic response, again, can be helpful. So depending on your goals. Do I consume them? Yes, I do. Do I try to be mindful of how much I consume? Yeah, I am way more mindful than I ever used to be about how much I'm consuming. And thank you for that feedback, Shay. Yeah, I definitely plan on doing more of these lives. I appreciate you commenting on that. Also, pay attention to Lexi's info in the comments about plant-based. She's got some good info in there about BMs. Brittany also asked, can your diet affect your sex drive? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, in different ways though too, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm eating shitty and feeling shitty about myself, I'm not my libido is impacted, all right? I gotta be feeling myself to be into it. So I personally, when I eat like crap, I don't feel good. I don't feel as self-confident. I don't feel as sexy. And that does impact my wanting to have sex. As well as like, I just think when you're eating healthier, your mood, your energy, and your libido is impacted. I should read some research studies because I'm sure they've done some, but I do find when you're eating healthier, more balanced, more nutritious, like kind of wholesome foods, like more fruits, vegetables, things like that, you feel more energized. You feel more, what's the word? Clear. Like you just feel more clear, because none of that BS is in you. So yeah, that's just my own personal thoughts on that, but I do notice that from a personal perspective and just generically, yes, that can totally impact your sex drive. That's actually something I have my clients monitor when I work with them. That is one of the things I ask them to comment on. How's your sex drive? Is it being impacted? Because we also know lack of calories, during bodybuilding preps, which really sucks because I'm like, I'm shredded, I have abs, I feel so sexy. You feel like shiitake, and the last thing you want to do is bone your man or your woman, okay? Because you have no energy. Energy is the driving force there. You have to have the energy. I don't care how quick your sessions are. You gotta have some energy in you. But I am gonna end this live stream here because Bruce Wayne's passing out. He needs his plate of meats. Jason needs to wind down for the night. I had so much fun chatting with you guys. I hope you found this live helpful. And if you're watching the replay back eventually, because I do save these to my YouTube feed, then make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell so you guys know anytime that I upload. If I do a live stream, if you click that post notification bell, it's gonna let you know, hey, Kara Corey Fit Life is going live on YouTube. And then you can join in and be part of the live chats. And we have a lot of fun here. So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you found this helpful, answering some of your questions. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Be sure you're following me on Instagram as well. I say that because I do question boxes where I usually ask you guys guys for topics that you want discussed, and oftentimes I'll use those topics for our lives and our videos here over on YouTube. So be sure you're following me there, Kara Corey Fit Life as well. Have a great rest of your night and a great start to your week, everyone. That's it. Have a great night. Thanks for joining.